To admit that some of my most profound hermetic and occult work was accomplished in jail might sound like a confession of failure, as if the bars and walls implied a collapse of life. But I carry no shame in this. Rather, I see it as part of a lineage, an ancient continuity of thinkers, mystics, and visionaries whose greatest insights emerged not in libraries or temples but within cells of stone and iron. Prison has a strange way of stripping away pretenses. Deprivation cuts you off from the distractions of ordinary life, leaving only yourself, your mind, and the barest of materials. For most people, this is torment. For the spiritual seeker, it is a crucible. Within that crucible, ideas are distilled, discipline is forced, and the great work takes on a harder, sharper edge. History confirms this. Some of the most celebrated figures in spiritual philosophy wrote under confinement. Boethius composed The Consolation of Philosophy while awaiting execution in a cell, crafting dialogues between himself and Lady Philosophy that still stand as monuments of Christian Neoplatonism. Miguel de Molinos, the Spanish mystic accused of heresy, spent his last 9 years in prison, yet his spiritual guide outlived him, inspiring generations toward inner silence. Martin Luther King Jr. penned his letter from Birmingham jail, a document at once political and spiritual, channeling the prophetic fire of the Hebrew Bible and the Gospel. And we cannot forget the East. Tradition holds that King Wen of Zhou, while imprisoned by the tyrant King Zhou of Shang, composed the judgments that accompany the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching. His son, the Duke of Zhou, later expanded the text with the line commentaries. Without King Wen's forced solitude and reflection, the I Ching would not exist in its present form. It is no exaggeration to say that one of the most profound symbolic systems humanity has ever devised, the root of philosophy, mathematics, and divination alike, was born in a prison cell. For me, the I Ching stands as the purest Platonic, Neoplatonic, and Hermetic contribution of all time. Its hexagrams embody the eternal interplay of opposites, the living archetypes of order and change. To consult the I Ching is to step into the same universal current that flows through Hermes Trismegistus, Plotinus, and the Renaissance Magi. That King Wen forged this in captivity only strengthens the truth. Limitation is often the womb of revelation. The Taoist master Lu Dongbin is said to have undergone profound trials of the spirit while held in captivity, where visions refined his path. The Sufi poets remind us that chains cannot bind the hearts turning toward God. Al-Hallaj, executed for proclaiming the divine I Am, transformed imprisonment into a stage for ecstatic union. If these are the ancestors, then I too stand in their shadow. Jail gave me a space, paradoxically, of enforced retreat. With no internet, no busy schedule, no marketplace of half-attentions, I returned to the heart of Hermetic practice. Silence, concentration, correspondence, imagination. The walls became sigils, the barred window, a reminder of Saturn's lessons in limitation and discipline. Saturn is the planet of prisons, but also of mastery through restriction. What better temple than one where the chains themselves are your altar? Hermetic occultism has always thrived in places of exile, secrecy, and persecution. The alchemists disguised their laboratories as kitchens to evade the authorities. The grimoires of the Renaissance circulated in shadows, copied by hand because they could not be published. To practice magic in jail, then, is simply to return to the roots, working under constraint, weaving light through darkness, finding spirit in the last place the world expects. So I say again, I am not ashamed. Jail was not the end of my spiritual life, but one of its most productive chapters. Out of steel and silence, I forged insights that freedom might have denied me. I was not the first to do so, and I will not be the last. Spirituality in confinement is not a contradiction. It is a tradition, one with a history as rich as any monastery or temple. The walls may belong to the state, but the work belongs to eternity. A follow-up conclusion: if I'm honest, what sustained me during those months was not only the long tradition of imprisoned mystics, but also a book that spoke directly to my own situation. Bo Lozov's We're All Doing Time. First published in the 1980s, it is neither preachy nor naive, but utterly pragmatic, a handbook for the soul under pressure. Lozov understood that a jail cell can be either a tomb or a monastery, depending on how you use it. He gave simple, workable practices, meditation, breathing, service, self-reflection, that turned the unbearable into the transformative. This wasn't some fringe text. The Village Voice once listed it among the 10 books everyone should read. and the Dalai Lama himself contributed a foreword. More than that, Lozoff and the Human Kindness Foundation have sent this and his other works freely to inmates for decades, a living example of spiritual generosity. That continuity matters. It showed me I wasn't alone, that there was a wider community of seekers, prisoners, and former prisoners who had walked this same path and come out carrying light. So while I draw inspiration from Boethius, Molinos, King Wen, and the mystics of history, I also draw inspiration from Bo Lozoff, a modern reminder that imprisonment does not destroy the spirit but can instead refine it. To practice Hermetic occultism in jail is not an aberration, but an extension of this tradition. We're All Doing Time taught me that our bars are universal, whether made of steel, habit, or ego. In breaking through them, we find liberation not only from prison, but from ourselves.